For years, Elias Turner lived alone on his worn-down farm at the edge of the frontier, a quiet stretch of land where the wind carried dust, regret, and echoes of a past he could never escape. Once, he had a family, a wife whose laughter filled the house and a son who chased chickens through the fields, but violence and cruelty from ruthless outlaws had stolen them both, leaving Elias with nothing but silence, guilt, and endless days of isolation. He stopped attending town gatherings, stopped speaking more than a few words at a time, and buried himself in endless work to drown out his pain. The townsfolk whispered that he was a broken man, a ghost walking among the living. Years passed, and his loneliness became as familiar as the cracked soil beneath his boots. One scorching afternoon, Elias rode into town to trade crops, only to find a cruel gathering forming around a small wooden platform. Curious and uneasy, he approached and realized the town was hosting an auction, not of cattle, not of land, but of a woman. A captured Apache woman stood bound in chains, her face bruised, her posture proud despite the cruelty she had endured. The auctioneer declared her the last Apache woman left behind after her tribe had been slaughtered or driven away. The crowd jeered, mocking her heritage, treating her like property rather than a human being. The hatred in the air disgusted Elias, stirring something deep within him, a memory of loss, injustice, and the cruelty of men. The woman's name, Elias later learned, was Naya. Though exhausted and wounded, her dark eyes burned with defiance. She did not beg. She did not cry. Instead, she stared at the crowd as if daring them to break her spirit. As the bidding began, cruel men laughed, seeing her as nothing more than a trophy or a servant. Elias felt his chest tighten. He had seen this kind of cruelty before, the kind that destroys lives. Without fully understanding why, he raised his hand and bid higher than anyone else. The crowd gasped. Some mocked him, others warned him that buying an Apache woman would bring trouble. But Elias ignored them. When the auction ended, Elias paid and took Naya away, not as a possession, but as a human being he refused to abandon. On the ride back to his farm, silence filled the space between them. Naya did not trust him, and Elias did not blame her. When they arrived, he unlocked her chains and told her she was free, she could stay or leave. Shock flickered across her face. She had expected cruelty, not kindness. Still, fear kept her distant. Over the next days, Elias gave her food, clean clothes, and a small room in his home. He spoke little, but his actions revealed his heart. He never raised his voice, never demanded obedience, never treated her as lesser. Slowly, a fragile bond began to form. Naya helped with chores, tended the garden, and shared quiet moments by the fire. She rarely spoke, but when she did, she told Elias about her tribe, how soldiers had attacked, how her family had been killed, how she had been captured and paraded as a prize. Elias listened in silence, feeling the weight of her pain mirror his own. Two broken souls, scarred by violence, found comfort in shared survival. But peace never lasts long on the frontier. Rumors spread that bounty hunters were searching for Naya, believing she carried knowledge about hidden Apache land and lost gold. One night, armed men rode toward Elias's farm, their torches glowing like wolves' eyes in the dark. Elias realized that protecting Naya would mean risking his own life, and perhaps reopening the wounds he had buried for years. As gunshots echoed in the distance, Elias grabbed his rifle, standing in front of Naya like a shield. "I lost my family once," he muttered. "I won't lose another innocent soul." The storm of violence was coming, and Elias was ready to face it. The bounty hunters arrived before dawn, their horses thundering across the land like a warning from fate. They demanded Elias hand over Naya, calling her a prize, a criminal, and a burden. Elias refused. The quiet farmer who had hidden from the world for years now stood tall, transformed by purpose and courage. The loneliness that once consumed him was replaced by determination. He would not allow cruelty to win again. Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through fence posts, dust flying into the air. Elias fought with the desperation of a man who had nothing left to lose. Naya, refusing to remain helpless, grabbed a fallen rifle and fought alongside him. Together, they defended the farm, not just as survivors, but as partners bound by trust and shared pain. During the battle, Elias was wounded, collapsing near the barn. Naya dragged him to safety, her voice trembling as she begged him not to die. In that moment, Elias realized he had found something he thought was gone forever: purpose, connection, and hope. Reinforcements from town eventually arrived, driving off the bounty hunters. When the dust settled, Elias lay weak but alive, and Naya remained by his side. As weeks passed, Elias healed, and so did Naya. They rebuilt the farm together, planting crops, repairing fences, and slowly shaping a future neither of them had ever imagined. Elias encouraged her to honor her Apache heritage, teaching the townsfolk to respect her rather than fear her. Over time, prejudice softened, replaced by understanding. The lonely farmer who once lived in silence now laughed again. The last Apache woman once treated as property now stood as a symbol of resilience and strength. Together, they proved that even in a brutal world, compassion can rewrite destiny. And as the sun set over the frontier, Elias looked at Naya and whispered, "We were both left behind, but together, we survived." Like, share, and subscribe to our channel.